Hello everyone, this is Pungz, and welcome back to the channel. It's been a minute since you've heard me on the mic, because I was doing my thing behind the scenes. You know, if you follow me on Tumblr, I shared just a smidge about what's going on with that. I am recently graduated. We are now in a new year, and I'm here to tell you about my predictions for this new year. So, moving into what the predictions are that I have for the US of A, so the United States. Number 1, music streaming will become strange 100%. So I would say, I'm going to tell y'all this now. I'm going to put you on game. You might want to consider going analog via CDs, stereos, iPods, or just downloading music to your devices again in a way to have them offline or in an archive. So it can't literally just be taken back from you. Number 2, Asian American people. So this means all Asian Americans, not just East Asians, but East Asians also are going to play a big role in this. Is that this is their time up front for social media. I can see them taking just a lot more space on social medias and participating in larger conversations. So, conversations such as moral issues, or, becoming some of the next big YouTubers, TikTokers. To be honest, we have some things to say about YouTube, because YouTube is in a strange place. But anyways, Asian American content creators are on the way up. So now is the time to just go ahead and jump in. If you are an Asian American who is listening to this video, heed my advice and go ahead and start planting your seeds right now. Number 3, the US will continue to see itself toppling as the number 1 superpower. The rest of the world might not necessarily compete for one of them to be number 1 solely, but they're probably having plans to band together so each nation or whatever is ruling a different aspect of the superpower to unite into one, if that makes any sense. Number 4, I can see the rise of a classic grunge makeup. So, cool toned grays, browns, blacks, smudgy, the under eyeliner, 100%, the whole vibe. Thin brows, we don't even have to talk about that too much. Number 5, I can see the revival of tween culture reviving possibly by the end of the year, but it's not going to be received well initially until probably the next year. Tween culture, so this is like 10, 11, 12, 13, even a little bit of 14. So especially for teen girls, tween girls, like that sort of small transitional part, especially for the feminine in, younger adolescents. Number 6, old aesthetics might be reviving and under their more agreed upon names instead of rebranding, unless it's in the form of taking 2 aesthetics and fusing them together. So let's take, for example, in the 2010s, especially 2014, twee style. People are going to be calling it twee, and unless they want to take it and fuse it with something else, they're not going to be changing the name. So for example, we have dark academia and we have twee academia. I don't know. So, number 7, 2014 could be kind of making a rebrand through 2024, but I don't know. It's just going to kind of be like a revival that's not quite a revival. Like, let's take, for example, the Mean Girls movie in the past being remade to now, and the Regina George was not giving the Regina George that the people wanted to see. You know what I mean? So it's still a Mean Girls remake, but it's not quite honoring the past. But are we surprised? Number 8, this one is kind of niche, and the girls who get it. And if not, hop on Google if you care. In terms of stylistic graphics, so especially in advertising and packaging, there is a particular author that I can think of, Richard Scarry. He has these lined characters, and I don't know. It's just like Richard Scarry's style, the way his books were drawn, I guess. So I would say look out for some stuff like that. Look out for cartoon animals especially, but just in general, the packaging, the advertising is going to be a little bit more inviting, so to say. Number 9. With that being said, to follow up, in terms of design and architecture, rustic old glam design revival, log cabin vibes. So even though there was weird talk about brown cabinets, we might see brown cabinets in wood finishes returning architecturally. So, and maybe just a little bit of white marble splashed in there, here and there. Number 10, with that being said, also, the plaid shirt is going to be making a return. So, lumberjack style, big beard, the beanie that covers the head, maybe some glasses, and your plaid shirt, especially the red one. And all of the plaid shirts, they come in all sort of colors. Your pink, almost like highlighter yellow, in the blue and the green. So, number 11, I can see there's going to be a lot of brands and items and objects that are going to claim that they are using recycled plastic to make their products. But we might see that there will be some people who will expose the tea and talk about how using recycled plastic or recycling plastic is not that easy, feasible, or even sustainable. Number 12. In commercials, especially online advertisements, we might see the rise of food realism. So instead of, back in the day, the way advertisements could have been is they have like a very beautiful high definition image of a sandwich, like let's say a Big Mac, which is universally recognizable. Instead of them showing like the super spoofed up, cleaned up version, they might actually, in these next coming commercials, show you what a real Big Mac looks like to represent like this is what you're getting. So they're probably going to be on top of, these sorts of establishments, restaurants, about how the food is presenting and how it looks. Also, it seems like it's probably going to be done this way to mimic the authenticity that comes through social media's surveillance. So you see even like the people who are making food, like, recipes or whatever on, like, let's say, for example, TikTok and YouTube, when they plate their food, they show themselves wiping the sauce off of the side, and they show themselves sprinkling the green onions on top, and it looks just like it is in the picture, in the video when you make it yourself at home. Number 13, I can see for sure the resurgence of cults and communes from a variety of levels to almost like, oh, this is just an organization where everyone is obsessed with the same thought, up to a full-on cult that makes you want to go live there. You have to abide by their rules, their standard of dress, their standard of diet, etc. Number 14. There is going to be an uptick in buy nothing groups in communities. So to explain very quickly, a buy nothing group is essentially just a way for people to kind of reintegrate themselves with the concepts of bartering and trading, or just giving somebody something for free because you don't need it anymore and this person needs it or puts out a request. So, if you're into that type of stuff, or you're interested in maybe not supporting certain corporations or whatever it is, go ahead and try to just run over to social medias, Google, whatever, your buy nothing in the city you're in, or on whatever social media, and see if something turns up a search for you. And if not, this might mean that you might have to be the one to start it in your community. Anyways, number 15. We will see, this is also related to video games. So with video games, there used to be this thing back in the day where you could download a free trial or download the full game for a limited amount of time. And for some reason or somehow they could log on your computer by looking through your settings or metrics or whatever to know just how long you had the game. So you could only play up to a certain point, right? Online free trials that can be taken back from you will possibly return, similar to games in the earlier 2000s. I would say for sure this is going to probably relate to video games especially, but that doesn't mean anything else isn't up for grabs. Corporations do as they will. But 100%, you might be seeing the resurgence of free trials that only last you an hour or 3 hours before they're taken back. Number 16. Content rental will probably be returning at some point, and I'm not really sure if it's going to stick forever. So, I mean, obviously, that doesn't mean that we can't already rent content. Obviously, on Amazon, you can still rent movies. On, your Rokus, your Hulus, and streaming services, you can still rent these things temporarily. But I think we can see, maybe it's just the means of it turning out, I would say. I don't know if we'd see like maybe the resurgence of like a a Blockbuster situation, but something strangely similar to that. I wouldn't be surprised. Number 17, we are going to see the re-rise of breakfast, but different. Obviously, breakfast exists in the States as it does, but we might see the promotion of different food for the first meal of the day, which it's been a good couple of years since we've, contended with anything like that. That's the only reason that we have eggs, pancakes, and sausage and such, marketed as breakfast foods because of advertising. So yeah. Moving in, we have a couple of things about Asia as a whole. So number 1, I can see Chinese fashion gaining a bigger foothold on the world in general. So Chinese fashion brands, watch out for them. Yeah, varying levels of prices, etc. Just things probably you would think that you can't get here, but maybe they're going to be a little bit more accessible to the everyday populace, at least over here, as opposed to, us having access to luxury brands, or even just buying indie brands can feel a little bit luxurious, because we don't even have to get into the whole talk about clothing and the ethics and all of that. But Number 2, I can see us having a major uptick, especially in pop culture, social media, with Japanese beauty. They're going to try to do their thing. They're going to start trying to push their brands, but I can also see them trying to grab a hold of skincare, but it might not succeed as much as it could as them pushing their beauty products. So we'll see what happens with that. Number 3, Vietnamese food is up next in terms of, the countrywide obsession, probably in the US, I would dare to say, but that doesn't mean that Vietnamese food couldn't take the rest of the world by storm, just as, stuff as simple as chili oil has taken a grip of maybe not the whole planet, but a good chunk of the planet over here in the US. Number 4, the expats will be talking about Bali for probably the duration of 2024 and still trying to go there, still trying to get there, even though there's some strange legislation going on trying to ban them. So we'll see just what happens with that. It's going to be very interesting. Moving into Africa very quickly. Number 1, I can see the African diaspora kind of also getting a little bit of shine up front. But especially what's going to be getting a lot more attention in terms of what comes from Africa as a whole is their philosophy and their storytelling. So for sure, in movies, books, TV, pop culture, etc., Africa will be able to start sharing that part of themselves on a global scale. That doesn't mean that it hasn't been accessible, but it will become even more accessible than before. Number 2, African spirituality will be taking a huge rise in interest from people. I also can just see like other spiritualities besides, the biggest ones, monotheism, all of that, will kind of be maybe taking a little bit of a step aside as we're trying to wade our way through understanding more parts and corners of the world. Number 3, I can see for sure, just to hammer in number 1, for sure, African Americans, Africans from Africa, north, south, east, west, all of that will be kind of continuing to really hold their reign on social media as they are right now. So now we have a largely miscellaneous category. So travel, food, marketing, social media, etc. There's a lot to go through here, so let's just get started. Number 1, I can see YouTube trying to reinforce They are placed in the streaming game, specifically through television and movies. Like they want to be almost like a legitimate television network type situation. So we'll just see a lot more TV and movies available for streaming or for buying, for renting on YouTube. Number 2, tamarind as a flavor could be up next. Especially just sour flavors, like something sour in hot soup, like Chinese food, but authentic Chinese food through POC cuisine especially. So we'll see what goes on with that. Number 3, the rise of beauty YouTube widespread once more could possibly be coming back. It never necessarily died by any means, but I would say for sure, in terms of it being a larger cultural interest again, probably especially in the US, I can see that getting ready to make its debut once more. Number 4, creator hubs once more. So group channels, where it's a channel of a group of people posting different types of content to one hub, or a blog that has a bunch of admins or a bunch of people related to it, etc. So creators kind of banding together to create their own network to kind of make themselves stronger as one. Number 5, I can see continued covert colonization continuing to do what it is. Colonization never really stopped and went away. It just kind of evolved with the times as we did. So China and Africa are going to continue doing their thing. African people will be going to China, establishing their footholds, their businesses, and China will be sending their people to Africa, to start also, meeting people, making businesses, finding romance to bolster their population. I'm not surprised. I can see Vietnam also probably beginning to think of where they want to start sending their people to try to, strike up, maybe not even with a document or maybe with some documents, a situation like this with another territory to begin, bolstering their stuff and opening themselves up, culturally. Number 6, continued relatability marketing for sure is just here to stay. So you'll see weird things like companies, like fucking banks, financial institutions, and like tax offices, and even, obviously those most local to you can be like grocery stores, having marketing trying to sound like, they're just like your close best friend, when in reality, don't be fooled. These are still big corporations. They are just trying to make the most of what they can with advertising, but that's not always a bad thing, but side eye. You get what the heck I'm trying to say. Number 7, minimalism could be on the way out, but maybe I don't see it dying this year. You know what I mean? I can see minimalism still, of course, continuing to exist, but on a widespread, scale. I don't see it transitioning to full-on maximalism, but people are going to probably be less afraid to decorate their houses because they realize that, we aren't all going to die today. So more ornate objects in your house to appear more tasteful. Number 8, I can see the revival of authentic content, but there's going to be struggles in general, but also especially initially struggles for distribution. So trying to use your tried and true platforms is going to be difficult for people to kind of grasp a foothold as an influencer. So yeah, I've mentioned a lot of YouTube, a lot of TikTok. Those are probably going to be really hard places for you to actually get started. So on the low, I'm just going to tell you this right now, for those of you that I told some tips about trying to get your foothold in starting a business and becoming an influencer. Listen, you can start those platforms, but don't think that they're going to be the only thing that really gets you to go where you are now. To be honest, the best thing for you is, 1, going live and, just starting to connect with an audience that way, almost like a weird QVC infomercial type situation, and blogging. Blogging is actually on its way back, but we don't even have to go there until later. Number 9, we are going to see some commercials actually starting to switch it up. So in terms of advertising, especially in the US, aestheticized commercials will be returning. So the return of animation and commercials. So maybe obviously not traditional, but I can see it not just being a bunch of real life people in real life situations. Number 10. I can see advertising becoming a little bit more bearable to look at, a little bit more covert and undetectable, less offensive. So you're not necessarily going to be lulled in by, oh, fuck. Like, they're trying to sell me something. It's going to be like, oh, this is such a nice art piece. And then you see it's like sponsored by Allstate or whatever. So it's like, oh my gosh, what the heck? So for sure, especially relating it back to relatability, advertising, just, you shouldn't really have to live your life in fear, but just watch out a little bit more for things trying to sell you stuff. Number 11. I can see mainstream celebrity pools starting to close off. So especially those affiliated with white people, but specifically white people in the U.S. Not in a roasty way, but straight up. It seems like they will be trying to curate celebrity culture once more. So, your events like Met Gala should not be full, or will try not to be full. And fashion weeks and fashion shows will try not to be full of TikTokers, influencers, YouTubers, D-list celebrities, and whatever trending rapper of the week. Like, they're going to try back to make these places seem a lot more elegant and exclusive again, to bring back that classic feel, which it's going to bring about a lot of conversations. I can say 100%. So I can say 100%. This is probably going to start really kicking off in the summer, while they still have some time to cancel some, invitations to, take back some events, etc., etc., take back some information, take back some invitations, the whole vibe. Number 12, I can see there being a fight, probably specifically in the US too, but maybe this is a global thing, with food labels. Food labels meaning what chemicals are in your food and what they're for. So, of course, not all chemicals are bad by any means. Or like, GMO foods, knowing like what is the genetically modified ingredient and why is it genetically modified, etc. But 100%, I don't really know if there is going to be success in them managing to, force these companies to actually switch up their labels. Also, I can see the folly for experts, 100%. This is probably related to food labels, but this is probably a separate situation. So 12A, we are going to continue to see a lot of people on social media continue to be calling themselves experts or coaches, but are just people who are talking on the internet, especially as it relates to, let's say, the food label situation. Everybody and their mother is an intuitive eating specialist, a dietitian this, like a holistic doctor that, a nurse practitioner this. Good gosh. Just figure out what the basics are for your health so you can be good people. But anyways, we don't have to go there. Number 13. Social media algorithms will be strange in terms of trying to increase user retention. So you are going to see the rapid quick switching of Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Tumblr, all of the social medias you can think of besides like the same 5 that I keep saying are going to be trying to get you on their app to keep using it so they can keep funneling money into their advertisers, and their advertisers will funnel money into them. So your feeds are going to be looking weird, probably, sporadically, a lot of ups and downs. So I wouldn't be surprised if, I've been seeing personally recently that my For You page on TikTok has been really weird. And I don't know why. Like, I've been seeing videos that I've liked before. On YouTube, you have to turn on your watch history so they can recommend you any videos on the homepage. Oh my gosh. Like, all of these things, all the backs and forth. And, sometimes, let's say, for example, Tumblr, you turn off recently I had my ad blocker on and they would just be like, hey, you should turn off your ad blocker. And of course I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And then they stopped bothering me about it. So I don't know. Yeah, just keep that in mind. Moving on. Number 14, the Pocket Forum and user-isolated communities will begin again on the fringes. So joining forums, websites, blogs, and communities created by creators or just a network of creators with the same ideas and want to discuss certain things, or, yet again through forums of like Discord service, that's going to be taking an uptick. It's not like it was ever not existent. I can just see that becoming popularized once again for people to attempt to kind of recreate their entertainment experience on social media and on the internet, just because of how they have kind of, even though they probably didn't really want to, taught us to do this. Number 15, tourism. To combat some net monetary losses, there is probably going to be a lot of countries, states and territories that are going to start promoting themselves as a touristy spot to make some money, and go even harder in terms of tourism promotion. Just because I guess, like I said, there was some money lost for some certain places and territories, and they are not going to be very happy about it. Number 16, lab-grown meat will begin its market promotions. It'll probably be a little bit covert and have some discreet influencer marketing. For sure, I can see that they're going to do everything but say that this is lab-grown meat until you look up the brand or you look at the packaging and it's there. It has to say that it's lab-grown meat. It's just that they knew that it would sound kind of repulsive and weird, so they didn't really want to tell you, hey, this is not authentically from an animal, or whatever that means. Sorry, vegans and vegetarians, or meat repulsed people, whatever. But yeah. Yikes. Number 17, this is also a really random one. There might be an emphasis and rise on steaming food, so especially in terms of health and food trends. Steaming food for everything again, steaming rice, vegetables, hell, even trying to steam meat might be coming right about. And number 18, I kind of have a trigger warning for this one. So before I even put anything on the screen pertaining to it, I would say it's kind of a theory. It's not a conspiracy theory to me, but it's a theory. So if you might find yourself having issues with any sort of doomerism or anxiety about things that are a little bit, what's the word? Not necessarily worldly, but like, if, the idea of something getting in your head that sounds or it could even feel a little bit conspiratorial will freak you out, don't listen to this. Thank you so much for watching, and, have a great day. Gonna exit the video right now. Before I get to this, if the red pill, blue pill, matrix type sounding stuff really freaks you out, it's good. I understand. That's all I'm gonna say on that. All right. Moving on. Number 18, the final of this video is I can see the divide with the world as it is right now. It's just kind of like a weird human nature thing, I feel like, for us to be kind of dividing, some of us evolving, some of us not evolving, or kind of splitting into groups, even though we all really should just naturally be banding together. It just seems like it could be a weird evolutionary thing. Anyways, there has been a divide that has been decades long and probably will continue to go so, that we've been in. That the discernible characteristics for the sides don't really seem to make sense or are the most clear yet. It's not necessarily like a political left and a political right situation or a blue and red, but to me, it seems like there's a two-side sort of situation. Maybe, of course, with some other small groups within, but it seems like there's a divide. There's a shift happening, and I don't really know what it is. It doesn't necessarily freak me out, but what I think is that it's just part of our nature to try to start dividing and evolving. So let's take, for example, I don't know. It's kind of weird. If I have anything else on this one, I'll come back to it. Anyways, that is all that I have for you. We had hella predictions today. Oh my gosh. I wonder how many minutes we are in. Oh my gosh, 40 minutes of me just talking. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you had a wonderful new year. Happy holidays. And happy birthday. It's your birthday. That is all that I got for you. If you can't get down with it, get down. Don't get down with Pungz. I know.